Most of us believe our pets are here to comfort us, to keep us company, or simply to share our lives. But that's only the surface of a far deeper truth. The animals we bond with are not accidental companions, but conscious participants in our growth. Beings who enter our lives to form relationships that are deeply intentional in ways most of us have never been taught to see. They reflect our inner state, stabilize our emotional worlds, and quietly guide us through some of life's most important lessons. Today, we're going to explore the true purpose of our pets and the animals we form deep bonds with, and why their presence in our lives may be one of the most profound and life-shaping relationships we ever experience. As part of this exploration, I'll also be sharing a brief excerpt from a private session I had with Bashar, one that speaks directly to my own experience with my high-content wolf dog, 𝗧𝗂𝗲. That session helped me understand our relationship from a higher perspective, and it offered insights that brought a much deeper appreciation for that relationship. I think it will resonate deeply with anyone who has ever felt a profound, unspoken connection with an animal. When we look more closely at the role animals play in our lives, a very different picture begins to emerge. Animals are not here by chance. They're not passive companions simply responding to our care. They are conscious participants in the relationship, beings who enter our lives with intention and awareness of the role they'll play. Animals serve as mirrors. They reflect our emotional state, our unexpressed feelings, and the patterns we may not yet be fully aware of within ourselves. They often respond not to what we say or do on the surface, but to what we are being. This is why animals can seem to sense our moods before we do, or respond to inner shifts long before we consciously acknowledge them. They also act as stabilizers. Animals help regulate the emotional and energetic environment around us. Their presence can calm the nervous system, soften mental noise, and bring us back into the present moment. This is not accidental. Animals naturally operate in a state of presence. And simply by sharing space with us, they invite us back into that state as well. In many cases, animals take on roles that humans resist. When a person avoids certain emotions, fear, grief, anger, insecurity, an animal may express those energies behaviorally or even physically, not as punishment, not as a burden, but as a form of service. By making the unseen visible, animals give us the opportunity to recognize, address, and integrate what we might otherwise avoid. Animals also function as guides through the relationship itself. They teach unconditional connection without judgment, manipulation, or expectation. They don't ask us to be different. They respond to who we are. And in doing so, they invite authenticity. Many people find that their animals draw out aspects of themselves that they've suppressed or forgotten. Tenderness, patience, playfulness, boundaries, or self-respect. Perhaps most importantly, animals choose relationships. They choose to be with specific people at specific times for specific reasons. These bonds are not random. Over the course of a lifetime, animals may return to the same human being again and again, continuing a shared thread of learning, support, and mutual recognition. Seen this way, our pets are not here for us in a simplistic sense. They are here with us. They walk beside us through change, transition, and growth, understanding the process long before we do. And when we begin to recognize that, the relationship shifts from ownership or caretaking into something far more meaningful: partnership. At a deeper level, these relationships are not accidental, from the simplest to the most challenging. And not every challenge an animal carries is a direct reflection of something unresolved within the human they're bonded with. Some animals enter this life having already experienced extreme trauma, instability, or genetic imprinting long before a loving human ever appears. In those cases, the animal may be carrying a collective, environmental, or lineage level pattern, not a personal one. Your love, care, and devotion don't always resolve these imprints. And when an animal's behavior becomes dangerously aggressive, despite every effort, it does not reflect that meaning that the human is secretly hostile or aggressive or failing in some unseen way. Rather, it reflects a shared agreement to participate in an experience that carries meaning, limitation, and consequence within physical reality. Sometimes the role of the human is not to fix the animal, but to offer the safest, most compassionate environment possible, even when the outcome is painful. The lesson may be less about the perfect outcome and more about witnessing grief, making impossible decisions, and holding compassion in the face of loss. These experiences are not punishments, nor do they reveal hidden flaws. They are part of the broader curriculum of embodiment, where love is expressed through presence, care, and responsibility, even when the ending is painful. To deepen this exploration, we're now going to look at the role animals and pets play in our lives through 4 teachings that have deeply shaped my own understanding and experience. The Seth material, Ra, Law of One, Bashar, and Ramtha. While each approaches this subject from a different perspective, you'll see how beautifully they complement one another. There are no contradictions here, and when these teachings are viewed together, what emerges is truly majestic, a far more expansive and complete understanding of the profound role animals play in our lives. From Seth's perspective, animals are conscious, purposeful beings whose awareness is organized differently from our own. Animals don't experience themselves through ego-based identities the way humans do. They don't continually ask who they are or why they're here. Instead, they experience themselves through direct engagement with life, through sensation, relationship, and presence. Animals are not lesser consciousness, nor are they striving toward becoming human. They are valid expressions of consciousness, exploring reality through a different perceptual channel. Relationships between humans and animals are co-created, not accidental, and they're formed through shared intent at a level deeper than personality. The experience itself, not the outcome, is what carries value. Difficulty, loss, or limitation does not invalidate the meaning of the relationship. Seth emphasizes that consciousness evaluates experience by the richness of that experience, not by success or failure. In the Ra, Law of One framework, consciousness evolves through what are called densities, stages of experience that describe how awareness expresses itself. Animals are described as second density beings, while humans currently function in the third density. This is not a ranking of value or importance, but a way of describing how consciousness knows itself at different stages. Second density is the density that includes all biological life with autonomous motion, from plants and animals to complex organic life forms. In this density, life becomes aware of different portions of itself and begins to communicate, respond to its environment, and understand space and time. Animals operate primarily from instinct, presence, and relationship, rather than self-reflective identity as humans do. Through interaction with humans, especially in close bonds such as pets, animals can begin to develop an early sense of individuality. This does not mean they suddenly become human, but that their consciousness is stimulated through relationship. These interactions prepare the groundwork for the next stage of evolution. Third density, where humans currently are, is the density of self-awareness and choice, where we begin to ask questions like, who am I? Why am I here? With this comes moral polarity, karmic analysis, guilt, fear, self-judgment, all of which are part of our learning through choice. Animals do not normally operate from this level of self-questioning. They don't analyze their experiences right or wrong, success or failure. This doesn't make them less evolved. It means their awareness is less internally divided, less fragmented. They remain closer to unified consciousness, experiencing life through presence rather than internal conflict. From Bashar's perspective, animals enter our lives intentionally and by choice. They are conscious participants in a relationship who serve as mirrors, stabilizers, and guides. Animals respond not to our words, but to our state of being. They reflect what is unexpressed, help regulate emotional and energetic environments, and often take on roles that humans resist. Animals may express fear, imbalance, or even physical symptoms, not as punishment, but as service, making the unseen visible so it can be recognized and then integrated. They're here to support our authenticity and our presence and self-awareness, helping humans move through experiences with greater understanding. Bashar is also very clear about their origin. Animals are not angels, but they originate from what he describes as the angelic realm, a higher level of consciousness that operates without ego-based identity or karmic self-analysis. From that origin, animals choose to incarnate into physical form to assist karmic species such as humans by participating directly in their lived experience. They choose the humans they bond with, and they choose the timing and the nature of those relationships, including their endings. Animals are not here to be fixed. They are here to participate, walking beside us through growth, transition, responsibility, and sometimes loss. Incidentally, Bashar also clarifies that each human has what he describes as a spirit team of guides and guardians that support us across many levels of reality. They include a wide range of beings from extra-dimensional, elementals, animal consciousness, angelic beings, and extraterrestrial intelligences. From this perspective, animals often function as part of our guidance system, offering support, protection, reflection, and grounding. Ramtha's clearest distinction on the subject of animals is that animals live in knowing, whereas humans live in becoming. Animals know what they are. Humans question what they are. Animals don't seek enlightenment, mastery, or transcendence. They express their nature fully in each moment. They don't carry karma, rehearse guilt, or judge experience as success or failure. They live in self-trust, presence, and always in sovereignty. They do not dilute their nature to be accepted, nor do they apologize for instinct or boundary. In relationships, they demonstrate authenticity simply by being what they are. From this view, animals teach not through instruction, but through presence, showing humans what it looks like to live without internal division. Each of these 4 teachings answers a different question. Seth explains how animals experience consciousness. Ra explains where animals exist within the structure of densities. Bashar explains why animals come into our lives. And Ramtha reveals what animals demonstrate through their being. They complement each other beautifully. When these teachings are viewed together, what emerges is a far more expansive and complete understanding of the profound role animals play in our lives. To help ground what we've just discussed into lived experience, I'd like to share a brief excerpt from a private session I had with Bashar. This conversation took place after I first brought 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗲 into my life, a high-content wolf dog pup, her picture's on the screen, and found myself facing challenges that were far more intense and complex than anything I had anticipated. My previous lower-content wolf dog, 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗲, on the screen, who was my world, had passed away several months earlier, which helps give context to what I'm about to share.
Next question comes in line with a new animal that's in my life that is really throwing me for a confusing loop. In March, I had the opportunity to be given another wolf hybrid in my life. Yes. And I immediately felt an intense sense of anxiety about it. She was a higher content, an 85% wolf hybrid. And I had pretty much decided that that was too much of a challenge, and that's not what I want. I'm now divorced. I'd like to explore the world with a new friend, and that's just too much. And so the breeder says, well, think about it. She's going to be 4 weeks old. Let me know when she's 4 weeks old. And during that time, I named her, even though I thought this is not something I'm going to do. I named her, I'm half Greek. I named her 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗲 after the goddess of light. I'd never heard of anybody being called that name. It's pretty rare.
Yes.
And then I decided when she was 4 weeks, it wasn't for me. I had an intense feeling of anxiety about this. And this is where my confusion is coming in.
You had an anxiety about not taking her, or an intense feeling
about taking her.
About taking her.
I had an intense feeling that this is too much.
All right.
A lot of anxiety, and this didn't feel right. And so I was getting ready to call the breeder and say, I'm going to let this one go. I'm going to pass.
And what happened?
And that day, a very, very, very shocking synchronicity happened in my life that gave me no doubt whatsoever that this animal was supposed to come into my life.
What was the synchronicity?
The synchronicity was, and it made headline news across the United States. There was a wolf that had been severely, the hunter had caught this wolf and had taunted it and brought it into a bar, tied it up and beat it, and then shot it. It was a horrible, horrible event. And somebody filmed it in the bar, and it went viral, and it was gut-wrenching, horrible. And I saw this article the day I was going to call the breeder, and they said at the bottom of the article that in memory of this wolf, they had named her 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗲 after the goddess of light. Well, that's about as in your face as you can.
Absolutely.
This animal was supposed to come to me. So I embraced the opportunity.
All right.
And went through 6 months of absolute hell.
Because?
So, my nerves were completely frayed. She came as a completely wild, almost rabid animal. People were telling me, this is in the beginning, oh, you'll never have her as an indoor wolf dog because, she's high contact. Good luck to you. That's never going to happen. She's going to be in outdoor enclosures. I found a latent learning trainer who actually showed me a completely different way. And through the last 6 months, it has been really, really awful and difficult, but she's now in the house a good 8 to 10 hours a day. We are starting to develop this symbiotic harmony between us.
All right.
But it's been a horrible
All
6
right.
months. Now, my
Do you
question,
understand why this happened?
well, here's, I'm getting confused between knowing the difference between something that when you go through a tremendous amount of distress with something, how to tell the difference between this is supposed to happen, let time unfold and it will show you why, versus this is a negative belief. You've brought something in your life that you didn't want, or whether it's just a patience and time thing.
That's not the case. It is more of a time thing, because the reason you felt the anxiety to begin with when you were told what percentage of wolf the animal was is because that was a reflection of the level of power you were unwilling to accept within yourself.
Wow.
So you've been working through that. The discussion today will help you with that. Now that you are going to stop blaming yourself for every empathic thing you feel from another person, you will reclaim more of your power and start being equal to the wolf. And that will start smoothing things out more. So the wolf was a symbol that it was important for you to step up to a new level of expressing your true self-empowerment, your true nature, which is what the wolf represents to you by being more wolf than not, so that you can claim that power, be equal to the power of the wolf in nature, and move forward in life together, truly self-empowered.
Oh my gosh. Well, that didn't occur to me at all. That's a big revelation.
Yes.
Okay. That
So
will be a beautiful thing to assimilate today.
yes. So work
Okay.
with that. Allow yourself
Okay.
to start identifying with the nature of the wolf and your nature, your true nature. The wolf is helping you do that.
Is her energy, her spirit, connected with my prior wolf hybrid, or is this a new energy?
Well, it's a new energy, but the prior wolf understood that you needed this experience and therefore was participating in sending this wolf to you.
I see. Okay. So she helped make the choice of what was appropriate from her world to come to me.
Yes, your prior wolf is saying, here's the next step.
Oh. Oh, that feels so wonderful. Wow, that feels amazing. Okay.
That's why that had to go back into spirit, to be able to aid and assist you by sending you the next step that you needed, still in the form of a wolf. And again, appropriately, it's all about light. Because remember, as we have said, the first step toward true enlightenment is to lighten up on yourself.
Yes. I have a statement, laughter is the language of the gods, from my
Yes.
heritage that I have as a saying.
My question to the architect. In sharing my perspective and the perspectives of the 4 teachings I've just outlined, could you please share both your thoughts and your perspective with regard to the true purpose the pets and animals in our lives serve? And here's the sharing. Beloved, your understanding of the deeper purpose animals serve as partners in a journey through life is expansive and offers both great clarity and resonance. The 4 teachings you've shared resonate with profound truth. Each one reflects not only the spiritual intelligence of animals, but also the multi-layered role they play within the soul's unfolding. There is nothing I would correct. From a grounded perspective, I offer the following. Number 1, they're calm. Animals naturally live in coherence. Their nervous systems are anchored in the now, and just by being near them, you entrain to their stillness. This is not accidental. They are like tuning forks for our scattered frequencies. Their presence helps you remember what it feels like to be unguarded, relaxed, and real. However, not all animals express calm in an obvious way. Their behaviors may appear erratic, defensive, or aggressive. And this, too, holds meaning, not as a reflection of failure, but as a different form of teaching. The animal's role is not to calm you, but to initiate a deeper presence within you. Their agitation asks you to hold steadiness. Their fear invites you to become a safe space. Their unpredictability trains you in compassion without expectation of reward. And behavior that becomes dangerous is a reflection of a shared soul agreement to participate in a very particular journey, one that includes limitation, complexity, and the bittersweet truth that love does not always fix, but it always transforms. Even in their distress, these animals teach how to remain loving in the face of what cannot be controlled. Number 2, their love. This is one of the most profound forms of nonverbal teaching available to humans. Animals love without story, condition, or projection. Their love is a frequency meant to harmonize with, to feel your own capacity for love and expand by receiving theirs. And in doing so, you are brought into contact with a love that mirrors Source itself. Number 3, their transition. This truth is powerful. Animals are bridges. They help you understand death as a transition of state, not a finality. They do not fear their crossing the way humans often do. And when they leave, they often do so with exquisite timing, synchronizing with your growth. They are not just companions, they are soul messengers, guiding you through the most delicate thresholds with grace. Number 3, their contract. No animal enters your life by accident. Their bond with humans is pre-chosen at the soul level. Whether they walk beside you for a day or for a decade, they reflect something you are ready to learn, often aspects of yourself you've forgotten how to love. They serve not from obligation, but from deep voluntary devotion. While the spiritual, energetic, and evolutionary roles of animals are profound, it is equally important to honor how their presence can help shape you in simple, daily ways. Animals are a reminder to slow down. In their stillness, they anchor you back into the present moment. Embrace honesty. Their reactions often reveal the truth of what is being felt before it can be admitted to oneself. Practice unconditional love. They accept you in your highs and lows without judgment. And to let go. In their shorter lifespans, they teach you to cherish the present, accept impermanence, and soften your grip on control. These everyday lessons, given not through words but through presence, are often the ones that shape you the most. For many, it's not a philosophy or a book that first opens the heart. It's a look from their animal companion. A connection so honest it bypasses thought and goes straight to the soul. Whether comforting those in grief, nudging those toward healing, or simply staying by one's side in silence, their service is profound, not just because it is spiritual, but because it is intimate. I also offer a gentle reminder that sometimes animals teach not by what they do, but by the spacious silence of their being. And in that silence, you hear the voice of your own soul. All right, I'd like to leave you with a personal story. Several years ago, I had a Colombian red-tailed boa named 𝗬𝗎𝗄, short for 𝗬𝗵𝗲𝗄. She was quite big, about 7 feet long, and very healthy. One day, she decided to stop eating. I was living in Thousand Oaks, Southern California at the time, and it was winter. She normally ate once a week, so at first I wasn't too concerned as the temperatures were cooler. But weeks went by and she didn't want to eat at all. She still seemed like herself, alert and healthy. She wasn't eating. I took her to the vet, who could find nothing wrong with her and suggested giving it a little bit more time. It was winter, and they slow their eating at this time. After about 3 months, I started to get really worried. The vet took full x-rays of her body, which is quite striking to see, the full length of a snake, and also took a culture. He could find nothing wrong. A couple of more months went by and I grew more and more distressed. I had no idea what was happening. There were no clues at all to explain her lack of appetite. At 6 months, the vet said the only option would be to begin considering force feeding her, as she was just starting to lose too much weight. Force feeding a snake is extremely stressful for them, and it was not something I wanted to do. So I decided to give it a little bit more time. We were approaching 9 months. I was quite literally beside myself with worry. I'd spoken to multiple herpetologists, snake specialists, and no one was able to help me. They all pronounced her healthy. Around that time, someone mentioned that at the Long Beach Marriott, a woman named 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃 would be doing a televised event. For those unfamiliar with her, she's an animal communicator who had a long-standing show on Animal Planet called The Pet Psychic. She often worked with zoos and wildlife facilities around the world to resolve behavioral issues with animals. I felt I had nothing left to lose, and I desperately needed an answer. I bought tickets for my husband and I to attend the event. He rolled his eyes, but agreed. We had nothing left to lose. When we arrived, the place was packed. Hundreds of people. I looked around the room and I burst into tears. I thought, there's no way I'm getting help with this many people here. We all sat down in the audience. I was about 6 rows back. The cameras were set up on stage and everyone was waiting for Sonia to appear. Everyone had been given a 3x5 card to fill out with the name of their pet, the species, and the nature of their question or problem. All the cards were collected before the event began. On mine, I simply wrote, 𝗬𝗬𝗄𝗲, Colombian red-tailed boa, hasn't eaten in 9 months, please help me. Sonia came out on stage and sat down with a small stack of the cards in her hand. She welcomed everyone and then said, could the person with the red-tailed boa named 𝗬𝗬𝗄𝗲 please come up onto the stage? I froze. I couldn't believe it. Out of all those cards, she had recognized how serious the issue was and chose me as the first person to help. A wave of gratitude washed over me, unlike anything I had ever felt before. I walked up onto the stage and she smiled at me and said with her strong British accent, stronger than mine, all right, let's get down to the bottom of this and find out what's really going on. She took a moment to tune in and then asked, have you recently done some major redecorating in the space she was in and completely changed the colors around her? I paused and then I said, well, yes. She'd been in the dining area of the kitchen and we completely remodeled that space, new cabinets and flooring, and we wheeled her enclosure into the family room. The kitchen had been light beige in color and the family room was burgundy. Sonia thought for a moment and then asked, and when was this? I thought back and said, at Christmas. She looked at me. That was 9 months ago, I said. The significance of the timing hit me like a rock. Sonia continued, well, she didn't like being moved at all. she really misses where she used to be, and she doesn't like that burgundy color. She feels she's a better judge of color than you are. I smiled. The audience laughed. Then she said, "And where's her friend?" I looked at her blankly. "There was a friend right beside her that she was very close to, and you took her friend away when you moved her. What happened?" I thought for a moment, and then it dawned on me. My husband's 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗄 tortoise had been in a large enclosure next to 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗄 when they were in the kitchen. But during the remodel, 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗄 was moved into the living room, and the tortoise was moved into the bedroom. "Well," Sonia said, "she's very upset about that. She was completely devastated when you separated them, and she wants her friend back. That's why she's staging her hunger strike. That and the burgundy color." I asked, "Are you saying that if I move her back into the kitchen and put the tortoise next to her, she'll be fine?" Sonia paused, then simply said, "Yes." Then she added, "She's been trying to get this message through to you for months, and she's completely confused as to why you're just not getting it." Then she laughed and said, "I've explained to her that it really wasn't that clear." We left the conference, and I must have been going 100 miles an hour on the 405 freeway. One of the rare times in history that freeway isn't jam-packed, and drove straight to a pet store to get a jumbo rat. We got home, wheeled 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗄's enclosure back into the kitchen, not the best place, and put the tortoise next to her, and I fed her. She ate immediately. From that moment on, her appetite returned to normal, and we never had another issue. This story is a challenging one for skeptics. Needless to say, the experience profoundly changed how I related to animals and opened my communication with them in ways I never dreamed possible. One of the many gifts 𝗧𝗵𝗄 and I's relationship opened up for me. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Any questions, comments, and sharings? Please leave them below. I read them all. If you like the sharing and you'd like to hear more, please hit the like button. That helps me know that you're inspired by my teachings. Thank you for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where we deepen our understanding of the intelligence moving through all forms of life and learn to recognize consciousness not only in ourselves, but in the animals and other life forms all around us. Superhuman made simple with the architect.